So we continue with some of the little basic bits and pieces in this video where we're going to look at multi-selection and multi-application. This is something that's probably familiar to a great many, but it's all important to know, and certainly if you're not aware of it, you'll find it all very helpful. When working in layout, you can select multiple objects at a time using either the Control or Shift key in the viewport to be able to select multiple items. The same in the scene editor, with Shift letting you select whole blocks or Control letting you make multiple individual selections. You can also drag with the middle mouse button to create a marquee that lets you multi-select. You can do this as well in the schematic view. Here, Control, of course, let us do parenting, so we can use Shift to do multiple selections, or again, just use our middle mouse drag. And when you have a hierarchy of items, as I have here with just these 3 nulls, you can also right-click on any item to select it and all of its children. So that's nice and simple. What's really important, though, is to notice about the multi-application. So when you have multiple items like this selected, if you have up, say, their motion options, you can set multiple items to target something, or kill off targeting for multiple items, or change the parent for multiple items. And pretty much all of these things, like the assigning of goal objects, or the setting up of same as item, or setting rotation items, constraints, are all multi-select aware. So you can select multiple items when you have multiple items that need to have the same control type or the same control item, and just select them en masse rather than having to go through them one by one. This doesn't work for things like the motion modifiers here, so if you add a motion modifier, it will only add to the last selected item and will not add to all of the items. And the same would be true if you were going to be adding, say, displacement handlers like this to things. The other place where you can do multiple selection and multiple application is, of course, in the case of bones, where of course you have settings like rest lengths, the weight maps that are used, the strength, and these different checkboxes for different compensation options, all of which are multi-select aware. Finally, you should also take a look at the scene editor, or the new version scene editor rather than the classic scene editor, where under the properties for items, which are selected in the scene editor, you can make multiple selections and change the values and parameters there. Notice in here that you get these little slivers alongside each thing. If you hold down Shift and click in the little sliver, you can see teeny tiny little numbers appear, and then making changes using this panel that has popped up here, such as check there, and then hitting apply will apply those changes to multiple items. There are also some other things that don't work for multiple selections, such as item locks or the normal hiding of items here, though you can use the visibility menu on selected items there. But for that, we do have things like the little tools I've added, such as the RH hide unhide, the RH lock unlock, and also the RH rec pivots, which does a recording pivot rotation on multiple selections rather than having to go through each one by one. The same, of course, is also true for keyframes. So when you have any number of items selected and you create a key, it will be created for all selected items. Although, of course, it won't be the same value for all selected items. It will key them at whatever position rotation they happen to be in. There we go. Very quick little walkthrough, but nice and important to know, especially when you get into building a lot of these rigs and you've got multiple things that need to do the same thing. It's a real pain and a workflow killer to go through them one by one. So getting familiar with having multiple selections and throwing changes and toggles for them is very useful indeed.